checking in with myself. Deadlifting. Um, been working from a small deficit. It seems I've not been using my legs pretty much my entire lifting career, if you even want to call it a career. Um, it's just been all back, and what do you know? I keep injuring my back. So I want to learn how to use my legs, and it never really. I mean, it has occurred to me, but it always just seemed a little dumb to use a deficit because I just assumed you would have to use more back because it's a longer range of motion. I never thought, idiot, why don't you bend your knees a little bit? So, um, uh, after some suggestions from a few friends and just people looking at my training, decided to go with the deficit. It's been working out pretty well. I am progression I'm using right now is uh, linear 40 pounds a week starting at 225 um, until I get to 495, and at that point I will just be uh, trying to build from 12 total reps to 24 25 total reps split up any sort of way. So right now I'm on 12, and I'm using that medium-ish volume and pretty aggressive linear progression, but starting very low to build that form, get back up to my normal 70-75% working sets, and then just continue as is, as I normally would have, working on work capacity and stuff like that, just with a completely different form. Feels really good. I like this new form. I don't feel like I'm at any risk of getting injured. Every time I've deadlifted in the past, it's always felt like I'm a good, 3 or 4 weeks from getting injured at any given point, just because it's so painful. And I knew there was something not right. Just took me quite a while to figure out. So, it's doing some priming for bag toss later on. I'm not even tossing the bag. I'm just kind of getting my steps in, getting a little explosion in, nice and perfect. Um, the bag tossing's a little experimental. I don't really know how to train for it. All I know is accumulation, the things that apply to any other lift, the velocity, the drilling, the technique. I know my technique is good. I did well the last time I threw at a respectable weight in a contest. So I know that I'm on the right track, and um, it's something that I'm a little excited to just experiment with different training methods like this drill here that I'm doing. Um, it's just going to be a fun one to follow and see what I end up with. It's obviously a lift that's way more technique dependent than strength, so that's another reason you kind of play around with it a little bit more. Is just as long as you're really being intentional about being productive and finding better positioning, and as long as you're getting stronger and more explosive in your main lifts, I don't think you can go wrong. Here's some just some strict pressing on the circus dumbbell. Like I said, oh wait, no, this is me warming up for the thrusters. I didn't videotape the strict press. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna be working on three variations of three variations. So it's all gonna be centered around push press. My dumbbell really looks a lot like a push press. I do catch it with my hip underneath, but there's no drop. So it is, I don't know, it is technically a jerk in my opinion, but it resembles so much of a push press that that's the most similar movement that I can train. So I'm going to be doing a lot of um, push press from the front rack, push press from behind the rack, and my dumbbell. And then the accessory to each of those will be second tier will be a thruster. So if I'm push pressing in the back rack position, I'm going to be doing thruster in the front rack and vice versa. Um, and then that third slot will be some sort of strict pressing. It will alternate between the three positions here, back, and single arm. Um, and then on another day of the week, I'll be doing just contest circus dumbbell. I'm kind of priming with the thruster because I've never. It's such an odd movement. I've never done this before. uh, on this day just during warm-ups, so that I can, right now in my training, the strict press is the third tier for single arm, and the next block I'm gonna up the dumbbell thruster to that second slot, while the behind the neck becomes the strict portion. So they're gonna just, all three of them rotate all three positions like that. Um, so this is actually from my fourth day where I'm doing the contest dumbbell. Like I said, I'm just warming up with the thrusters because it's such an odd movement. I like it though. A couple things I'm trying to do. You notice I'm keeping this foot, whatever side I have the dumbbell racked up on, that foot is going to be turned out more so that my hip and glute can be even more stacked under the dumbbell and make it more of a centered lift. I'm also using flats because I do think that I can get a little bit better force transfer into the ground and a little bit better stability if I can get the ankle and knee and hip synchronization to be able to do it in flats. Also, if you notice, I'm a lot more in front of me with the front rack position as behind that old way that I would do it and then kind of jump under and behind it. That when it was behind me, the heels seemed to help now, but this feels a little bit better now that it's in front of me or off to the side or centered, whatever you want to call it. It seems like the flats might be a more optimal position. It's definitely really, really hard to stay tight down there. It's gonna pay off. Yeah, I mean, I only did 165 this week. That was my first try at 165. I just kind of thought, like, since I would just do thrusters all the way up, and then I would be ready for it, but that's not the case. My legs weren't ready. I had to go back down to 140 and re-warm up just in that range of motion. The other thing I'm doing, I changed my cleanup a little bit too, so I am implementing a little bit of a swing. Because one thing I noticed at my last competition, the handle was so big, and I did train with a 3-inch handle, but just I guess not as much as I should have. But it was really, really taxing to get that second clean in, and it shouldn't have been that bad. It was just because of gripping the handle like this and trying to muscle it up. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking my press hand, I'm putting it directly on top, I'm putting this hand underneath, and then I'm not swinging it, I'm just picking it up with my quads so that as it pops, it automatically just floats to the center. Just like my bag toss, once it hits that center point, I'm ripping it straight up through my legs. I'm pushing my legs straight through the ground to cause that upward trajectory. It is such a lightweight, but goddamn, it seemed a lot more comfortable. Yeah, I like the way that looks. Must have been I didn't put some of these dumbbell videos in order, so they're a little all over the place on the top sets. Basically, it took first dumbbell session back. This tells you how much of a motherfucker this event is. I just pressed 245 for 2 in contest. All I wanted to do was some triples at 165. I looked back on my video. I ran my camera from the entire time from the second I started my first set to the second I ended my last set. It took me like 56 minutes. It's going to be a lot shorter this time. Now I know, I mean, that's a completely different dumbbell I've ever trained on before. The thrusters was completely new. And the other thing that was new was this. I've never repped from the rack position. It's always been 1 and 1, no variations. I've taken kind of the route of, you'd hear like a younger Olympic lifter, like you're not teaching them the variations until they really, really master the single lift. Um, so I feel like combined with, somewhat mastering the single lift and now the main goal being to really, really push that as far as I can go, it is necessary to start to experiment with some of those different variations. So the thrusters, the pause front squats, um, everything, even to my box squatting and my deadlifting, I'm really trying to think of everything going towards the dumbbell, and you can see how much balance that actually entails. And I'm almost using, um, my weaknesses in the deadlift. Like if I treat the deadlift on a back burner and I just build it back up and relearn everything, um, while building speed and velocity and upward technique to be conducive to my dumbbell, um, I'm killing two birds with one stone, if you will, and it's wasting a lot less time, and it's not just like completely throwing off my balance, right? Like if I was just like treating it like all pressing or whatever, but I'm really trying to break down the full mechanics from feet to completely locked out, like every single muscle that's playing a role into this. And when I break it down, I see, you know, jumping, fast deadlifting, heavy and fast squatting, massive triceps, massive shoulders, massive push press, um, but incredible velocity at really, really impressive weights. And so um, I'm trying to combine a lot of, you'll see every day that I do overhead pressing, I'm doing box jumping or throwing. I'm really, really trying to get my height and my explosiveness up. I'm really trying to get the rigidness in my upper back up, my lats through, my front rack position developed. Really just trying to be a really, really well-rounded strength athlete, and work on just general development for that very vague purpose of being just a really well-rounded strength athlete. Um, and I think that is kind of what would build the best dumbbell for myself personally, at least in the way that I need to think about it to structure it. So that's kind of where my mind's at for this next 9 months. Like I want to be competitive at Clash, I want to do all that stuff. But with the things that hold me back, like the deadlift and, um, the body weight stuff, I think, and what I just struggle with mentally and how I approach certain things and competitive goals and whatnot. If I think about it more like this long-term development, and I really break down the one single lift that I truly enjoy and have just fun with every time that I do it, um, that in itself will come with making the best strongman that I can be in every event. And so that's a little bit. That's where my mind's at. These were fucking hard. I'm really glad I decided to do this. I was only gonna push press in the front rack position and only thruster from the back rack position. Something told me to just give this a shot today because it was my down week and I was just playing around with lighter weights, similar variations, just getting a reset. Um, every fourth week will be one of those. It'll be the next variation going into the next block. But I played around with it and like holy shit, I couldn't. You know, you'll see. I do got to take it out of the rack or somewhere higher, but you will see like my heels coming up right out of the bottom is shooting the weight forward and making it hard for me to press. Um, I can strict press that weight, and so it just shows you how much of a balance game that is. And when you look at the nature of the dumbbell, you can see how this would directly help that. All right, it looks like that's it. I didn't squat this week because we were traveling. Um, Start normal schedule on Sunday or Saturday. Saturdays is box squats, quads, and stuff like that. Then I've got my main press day, push press, thrusters, all that good stuff. Rest day, on Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, I've got my deadlift day, and then my second press day. So I'll keep doing these updates. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Message me on Instagram, send me an email, leave a comment, whatever. All right, thanks for watching.